Okay, the first thing you're going to see is that it doesn't say Bushwhacker. So the graphics are missing. So I don't know what it is with me and RV stickers. They just, something about them never look right, and I don't like looking like everybody else. So I tend to customize a few things, but you can see what I did. I took the original stickers off. You can almost see where kind of the sun faded, and there's a B right there for Bushwhacker. But I found these graphics on eBay and from a seller there, and they're pretty good. They're really on the thin side, but I did talk to them. They're going to upgrade. They're going to be upgrading the material. I bought 4. I bought 2 of these with the mountains in them, and I put one on the front, one on the rear, and then I bought the one without the mountains, and I cut them and put them in sort of what I call an abstract kind of way on the side, just to give it something kind of different and neat. Anyway, so that's the first thing I did to the Bushwhacker. The stickers came off relatively easy. So the other thing that I did, built a table. And so this table, I got this aluminum channel that holds the table. I got that off of Amazon, and then I just took a kind of a 5/8 ACX plywood, and I got these brackets off of Amazon as well. These are stainless steel. I use stainless steel fasteners, and then I just kind of countersunk a nutsert into the plywood and screwed those stainless steel screws in there, and they just lean on there. You can see the table just sort of bounces there if there's no weight on it, but it worked out really good. I painted the table silver to match the camper as best I could anyway, and then so it didn't look like spray paint, I took sandpaper and I went a single direction with the wood, and it kind of turned out really neat. And I put a polyurethane cover on it. But what you see inside here, I actually routed this out, and I installed a puzzle that my father just did, and he just put this puzzle together, and I thought it was kind of neat, and I wanted to do something with it, so I embedded it down inside this table, and I cut the edges to give it some character and so forth. So anyway, this is a kind of a neat little table. I don't think it's going to hold a ton, but we can eat dinner, put a few little things on it and so forth. One of the other things I did, in the home that I purchased, it had a whole bunch of these Rubbermaid wall-mounted little deals that had some cool brackets that just kind of set on there, and they're neat. And they've been laying around in my shed, and I thought, what am I going to do with those? Well, I riveted these in to the camper and sealed them, and they work awesome. So I can put, you know, bags, jackets, hats, whatever it is that I might want to put on there. It's kind of neat. One of the other changes that I made is these campers do not come with any kind of gauge or any way of turning your battery off. And so I installed this little guy. I got it on Amazon. It's only about $7-8, and it's just a shut off, and it's kind of neat because it's got a seal cap in case it rains so it doesn't get down in there. And then this has a cover built into it. It's kind of neat. And it's on and it stays in there when it's on, and there's it off. And then I just built a little lanyard so that I just clip it on something when I'm driving, and that kills the battery so that nothing's draining that battery. So I always have a full battery. And so this little guy is just screwed into this. I just cut a hole, slipped it down inside there. One of the other things I did is I did put some additional reflectors, and I kind of hid them around. I got these off of Amazon. They work pretty well, but this had sort of a lack of reflectors, so that if you're camping out somewhere, my fear is that someone wouldn't see it or something driving up on it at night. And anyway, so I added those kind of around in different places. I have added solar, so I'm not running it today, but I bought a panel, and I think it's a 115, and I just took it from its standard, I believe it's 8mm or whatever the connection came on it from the manufacturer, and I put this that style of connector on it. Keeps the battery topped off real well. The other thing I did with the camper is it dropped air pressure on the tires. These things are only about 1,350 pounds. That's totally dry, by the way. Even if I got it loaded down with everything I have, like the kayaks and so forth, it's still only going to be about 1,650 pounds, 17 max. It's got a huge water tank on it, so you know, maybe 1,800 pounds worst case. Those tires are rated for 3,300 pounds. Those are regular little truck tires, so I dropped those down to about 32 to 30 psi so I can run the dirt roads. And you can see I just ran a dirt road coming into the mountains here to go camping this weekend, and it's covered in dust, and so I was able to boogie down the road and it didn't beat it up too badly. Let's go around here. I'm just going to kind of go over some of the changes that I've made. One of the things that I did not like about the Bushwhacker, it doesn't mean they're wrong for doing it, just means, in my opinion, I didn't like it. It had a Coleman cooler that was mounted in this area right here where I've got storage. And those coolers really, they run off of ambient air temperatures. So here in Arizona, you know, especially where I go, it could be 90, 95 degrees. Really isn't going to keep food cold enough. So they're just not really efficient refrigerators. So I'm going to do what I did to my Sprinter van, and I'm going to purchase a refrigerator. But what I did is I unscrewed this base that Coleman cooler went on, and I slid that out to fit this box in it. So I have additional storage, and this turns sideways and it's got additional storage so you can close the door and so forth. I haven't finished my storage yet for this shelf. I'm looking for the right things that I want to put up there to hold some of that stuff. But I did put a few hangers for some of my cups and things like that. There's not a ton of storage in these, so you don't need a lot. You got a little 2-burner stove, so you don't need a ton, but it's pretty tight back here. I wouldn't say it's horrible, but it is pretty tight. Got a decent sized sink, and like I said, it's got a huge water tank, and I don't remember what it is. It looks like a 20-gallon under there to me. They do give you a spray nozzle, and it's kind of funky to clean dishes. Neat for, say, taking a shower and so forth like that. But you can see, if you've seen any of these before, you can see that I cut this tube. I saw no reason to have such a lengthy tube all coiled up in here. It was taking up half the sink. I cut it to what I thought I wanted. I have no intentions of taking a shower out of this thing. If I want an outdoor shower, I'll do what I did to the Sprinter, and I'll put an outdoor shower on the outside of it. But water pump works real well, and when the battery's on, we just killed the power. So that's kind of neat. It comes with something to clean. And then the drain runs right out on the ground, as long as it's just soapy water and you're not putting any food or anything like that in it. I did mount this aluminum paper towel holder, and I used rivets. I got this little guy off of Amazon. I'll get the Amazon and the eBay stuff added to this video down in the description. So go into the interior. I didn't really change anything in here other than I did cut a spot out of the center there so that I could lay my custom table underneath there. You can get quite a bit down inside there. I'm gonna go to the other side where we don't have sun, but you can get quite a bit under the bed. It's actually got a lot of storage. You can get a lot of jackets and blankets and just a little shovel and some tools and things like that you might use. So under here you can see I just have a few things I was able to fit in. It's really about 3.5 inches, not quite a full 4 inches underneath these, but these boards are hinged. They're pretty darn solid. They use a pretty good board that you can sleep on, and they're hinged on both sides, plus there's smaller hinged boards at the foot so that you can get down there and put additional stuff. I put some hangers in here. They're just the little 3M ones. They work really well in the morning. The Fantastic fan is awesome on this thing. this is one thing I wish the manufacturer would do, is put some kind of little curtain on this, because now you have to kind of go make something. These tinted windows are not tinted dark enough, really, to give you any privacy, especially if you're sitting in there and you've got the lights on. You don't want lights shining in. You got to have something there, and I kind of wish the manufacturer would have put something. I mean, these things are relatively cheap as they are. I think they're, you know, I think I paid 11, 5 or 12 grand for the thing, so I don't think it really would have brought the cost up that much. It does have outside LED lighting. One complaint that I have, it only has one switch. So the switch is on the other side, you turn it on and it turns on both sides. So I'm gonna separate those. I'm gonna get in to the wiring, I'm gonna separate those and put a separate switch to this side. So it does have a 30 amp connection on it, and I've been charging the battery off of that. Works really well. It does have a heater, so this is just the furnace for the heat, propane heat, and your water fill. It does not have a city connection, so you're not going to pull into an RV park and hook up water. You just fill the tank and use the water pump. One interesting thing I kind of noticed, and it's kinked, like that's kinked right there, right now. So I've got to fix the lines. I just think the manufacturer ran those a little on the short side and kinked these, so it's got the drain. This is the drain to drain the water tank, to drain the water lines for the sink and everything, to winterize it. But I thought it was kind of a bummer that they ran those too short, and I might replace all of those anyway. Another thing that I changed, and I don't know if you can see it or not, but I put foam around that spare tire. It only cranks up to an I-beam, and there's nothing supporting the spare tire on the aft and the forward part of the tire, so it wiggles and bounces as you're driving down the road. It's a little silly that they didn't put some kind of support, at least on one of the sides, to give it 3 points of contact. So one thing I noticed is that I didn't feel like the sealant was really thick enough. There were some spots where I could see, I can actually get my fingernail up under some of this stuff. So I went around and resealed this camper. And I spent quite a bit of time making sure everything was sealed. Not that we get a ton of rain here in Arizona, but man, when we do, we get monsoons, and I don't want a drop of water inside this. I don't want to mess with it later. So it was just easier to do that up front. This way I knew it was done. The rack works really well for kayaks. It's a little on the tight side, or mine are 32s next to each other, so it's a little on the tight side. The bar works real well. I recommend getting some kind of pads so that it cinches down on them a little bit better. It does get in the way of both the vent and it gets in the way of the antenna. Not that I'm going to ever put a television in this, but I believe that's also an AM/FM. It's tied to the stereo system, and I notice I'm not getting any channels because these kayaks are on top of that, but they do touch it, and you can't open the vent. If you were on the road camping, say road camping, you would need to unstrap these and put something under them and push them up so that you can get that vent open so you can sleep in there if it's really hot. I think the value is amazing. What you get with these, they tow great. I think they're balanced really well. You get water in the front of this. It really pushes down on my Toyota truck, but it tows it just fine. I don't have any issues towing this thing. I still do 65 up a hill with this. I didn't have a ton of stuff in it. We're just out for one night and one day on this trip, but it towed it really well. I mean, it towed straight. It was nice and quiet. It certainly didn't bounce around, so no complaints there. The doors squeak on this thing when you open it. I've been filling them with silicone and doing what I can to try to get the doors to quiet down. The jack on this thing takes a little while, but I'm not gonna complain about it. I might as well cover what I do for security. I did buy this amp lock, and it is an amazing lock, but it does not lock your chains, and it doesn't cover the coupler, so you still have to add some additional security there. And these are not really the greatest. They'll slow, this is great, but these are just slow somebody down. They're just not going to mess with that when they see that thing. So they're real expensive. I think they're about $300. They come out of Canada. They're great people. I called them. They're wonderful. For my chains, because it can steal a trailer with your chains, look that up on YouTube. You'll see where they steal campers just with your chains. They don't have to take the locks. So I did stick a lock back here for tomorrow to keep someone from accessing my chains and stealing my camper this weekend. But I am gonna cut. I'm gonna cut this link right here, D-ring or something, you know, between the two chains. I'm gonna throw this part of the chain in the truck, and all they have is just this little dangling part. Apparently, teardrops are in high demand. So I've heard or read where they have stolen some campers. So I just don't want mine to be one. It does come with a 7-pin plug, by the way. If you do not have that on your vehicle, that's not a problem. You can buy an adapter to that. I would not cut that off because you're gonna want that one day, or at least the next person will. All right, there you have it. This is the Bushwhacker, the Braxton Creek Bushwhacker. Great little camper, and hopefully you got something out of it, man. I appreciate it if you did. Subscribe. If you've got any questions, you want me to look at something or add some, or have any questions for me on this particular teardrop, feel free to ask those questions. I'll answer those. I get to them right away. And thank you very much.